Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Thank you for peeking in at my channel. These are the things that have been on my mind. Chicago, Portland, Baltimore. The things we have been warned about are now starting to happen everywhere. This is an opinion piece by Michael Snyder, who works for End Times Headlines. End Times News, I'm sorry. Whether for good or for bad, the United States has always set an example for the rest of the world. And right now, people all over the globe are watching violence fill the streets of our major cities. For years, we could all see anger building to extremely dangerous levels in our society, but I think that most Americans never believed that it would actually cause such an eruption. It has been heartbreaking to watch Americans fighting Americans, and I wish that all of our politicians would come together and form a united front in calling for an end to the violence. Instead, they just keep blaming one another, and things just continue to escalate. And when I use the word escalate, I am not exaggerating one bit. There are more than 100,000 gang members living in the city of Chicago today, and according to the FBI, 30 gangs in the city have made a pact to shoot any police officer that draws his or her weapon in public. A federal intelligence alert from the FBI, held office in Chicago, Illinois, warned that about 30 gangs in the city have made a pact to shoot police officers if they draw their weapons in public. And this ABC 7 reported on Monday. Can you imagine what police officers in Chicago must be feeling right now? I hope they are well paid. Excuse me, because they are literally risking their lives on a nightly basis. This new intelligence report specifically said that these things have agreed to shoot on sight any officer that draws a weapon, and the purpose of this violent pact is to garner national media attention. The alert states that Chicago gangs have agreed to shoot on sight any cop that has a weapon drawn on any subject in public. Members of these gang factions have been actively searching for and filming police officers in performance of their official duties, the alert continues, the purpose of which is to catch on film an officer drawing his or her weapon on any subject and the subsequent shoot on sight of said officer in order to garner national media attention. Of course, a lot of people have been shooting at Chicago police officers already. According to Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown, the number of CPD police officers that have been shot at this year has already smashed the all-time yearly record. According to CBD Superintendent David Brown, there's an overall sense of lawlessness felt by local police, and the danger in police officers is real and increasing. I think it's bigger than a suggestion, said Brown. I think 51 officers being shot at or sorry, my dog started barking. I think that quadruples any previous year in Chicago's history. So I think it's more than a suggestion that people are seeking to do harm to cops. It is so sad to watch Chicago descend into complete and utter lawlessness. Each weekend, the violence in Chicago makes national headlines, and last weekend was no exception. 50 people got shot, and that included a mass shooting at a pancake house. Brown, now more than 4 months into his tenure, did not mention the grim miles while he talked to reporters. He also did not dwell on the toll from the weekend. At least 10 people killed and 40 others wounded by gun violence that included a mass shooting at a pancake house on the far southwest side. A man died and 4 others were wounded as diners with children scattered. In a little more than 3 hours, beginning around 2 a.m. Sunday, Chicago police responded to 10 separate shootings, including 3 homicides and an attack on 2 officers who exchanged gunfire with an armed teen. All 3 were wounded. In Portland, we are witnessing a different sort of chaos. Political protests have been rocking the city on a nightly basis for 3 months straight, and on Monday night, the protesters decided to target the mayor's house. Protesters in Portland gathered outside Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler's apartment Monday night to celebrate his birthday by letting off fireworks and singing "Happy Tear Gas to You." A fire was lit in the street outside the 58-year-old's apartment block in an upmarket area in the north of the city as around 200 people gathered while blasting music, sounding horns, banging pots and pans, and playing drums. This is a perfect example that shows why the violence is not going to end no matter who wins the election in November. Ted Wheeler is not a Republican. He isn't even a Democrat, a moderate Democrat. In fact, he's one of the most left mayors in the entire country, but they targeted his home anyway. Excuse me, guys. I have allergies this morning. They're kicking my butt. As I detailed in my new book, so many people warned us in advance that tremendous rioting, looting, and violence would erupt in our major cities. In some instances, these explosions of anger are being fueled by political unrest. But in other cases, we are seeing acts of violence that are completely and utterly mindless. A perfect example of this is an incident which just took place in Baltimore. Video emerged Monday on social media showing a man crossing a street and another man sneaking up behind him and slamming him in the back of the head, which resulted in the victim falling face first on the sidewalk. Just before the victim was hit in the head, a voice, presumably from one of the other people recording the video across the street, can be heard whispering, "Bitch, you bet not run." After the victims fall to the sidewalk, at least 2 people can be heard laughing and hollering in response. Video of this deeply disturbing attack has been posted on Twitter, and watching it made me incredibly sad. How evil do you have to be to celebrate when some random person is knocked unconscious by a brick to the head? I truly wish that the entire country would come together and agree to bring an end to the violence, but of course that isn't going to happen. If anything, societal tensions are likely to get even higher as we approach Election Day in November. It should deeply grieve all of us when we see Americans fighting Americans. There's so much anger and hatred all around us, and any nation that becomes utterly consumed by anger and hatred has no future. And ultimately, what we really need is to learn how to truly love one another, but unfortunately, that's not a very popular message at all these days. And then he talks about his new book. I think that was it. You guys, it's really, I will probably talk about this on my From My Heart to Yours segment at one point, but this is things that are on my mind right now. You guys, we need to be really prayed up on this. This breaks my heart because it's not just a Democrat Republican thing anymore. It's gone past that. It's gone like they were tormenting this guy on his birthday, and he is a far left Democrat. And so it's not just that. It's there's hatred and hatred to the police officers, and I understand the hatred to some police officers. I understand the background. I understand all that. But what we're doing isn't solving anything. If anything, it's making Americans turn on Americans. And I think it's heartbreaking. So please join me in praying for our country, because our country is falling down really fast. And who knows how much longer we will have a country. Anyway, thanks for listening.